Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together, we are TwinFinity.
I did the we with you so I could blend in.
Blend in instead of having me go, we.
We.
Yeah.
So, as we've been saying a lot lately, it's been a while. Because life's been a little rough. So, it's been a while.
Although things aren't too rough tonight, somebody right beside me here insists that they're playing with their earrings lots because they love their earrings.
I just got new earrings and I'm totally in love with them.
They're a little bit floppy and they're a little bit ticklishy and nice on the side of the neck.
Yeah, they're so pretty.
And she's also got her pink shirt with hearts on it.
I bought this shirt in like April and it's long sleeve, so it's not really appropriate for the weather that we've had all summer. So I've never worn it. And when I noticed these earrings matched, I was like, that's it. I have to wear it now. So I got all dressed up for you guys.
And?
Oh, yes.
She's got her matchy cup. So.
When you love hearts and you love pink and you love bling, it doesn't take much to bring joy to one's life.
So it's a good thing we're doing a video tonight, because if not, she would have just stood in front of the mirror tonight and just played with her earrings and admired everything.
Play, dangle.
So anyway, if she gets distracted and she starts to play with the earrings and all the other sparkly bits and whatnot, don't be surprised.
I already told Rob he's going to answer questions. I'm going to just sit here and admire my jewelry and my pretty shirt.
And I kind of had the exact opposite bit. You never get out of practice with doing videos once you've got into them. But wow, it's
been a while.
It's been a long time since we've been doing videos weekly.
A long time.
And so when we're first trying to start to do a video, this is first take, by the way. It's all word.
It's true.
It's like riding a bicycle until it comes time to do more than just the intro. So, is there anything else that you had?
Yes, I have a couple little things to mention before we actually get into question and answers. Every single time we do a video, we get at least several people message us and ask if we offer services or what services we offer. So I thought I'd just put it out there right now. I know it's kind of weird that we just do videos, but we don't offer services. And it's not like we could offer services, but we've just never been guided to. So we don't. We don't have a website even. We're both natural healers. I do Reiki and Rob is just literally a natural healer. He could easily do healing, but we've just not honestly been guided to. I mean, I do Reiki with people that live in my city, but I don't offer it just to the general public because I also have a job and everything else. So I just wanted to put that out there now. We do not offer services. So why we do these videos is just because it's part of our mission. It's what we were guided to do as part of service, as being twin flames.
That is part of what we've been called to do, as opposed to doing formal counseling, is to do the less formal counseling through just discussive videos, and it's all based upon questions that we've received from people.
Yeah. So on that note, I would also like to say thank you, or I should say we would like to say thank you. We have gotten a lot of people sending us donations lately, just as a thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, two different people were both thanking us specifically for our story video. So if you don't know us or don't know about those, I'll link that above. I don't know which side it shows up on, but it shows up as a little link. I will link that above. So yeah, a lot of people have just been really appreciating lately our story videos, which is where Rob was talking. We used to do when we first started doing videos. That's what we were guided to do. Is we did a whole year of every single week doing videos. And that was a lot. That was intense.
That was just all we could handle.
Yeah. I used to read ahead, preparing in my journals, making little tabs and writing notes. It was a lot.
It was literally, I would say, anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a week of work for Angie to prepare for a video.
And I loved it, don't get me wrong. I mean, we were very guided to do it.
It was amazing to do. And it was something that, looking back at it, I don't know how we did it.
I know, I still wonder.
It's sort of like people that hike to the summit of Mount Everest. We just went to the summit of Mount Story.
So yes, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who have given donations to us, just as a thank you for the videos that we do. And I also wanted to, I won't mention this person's name, but address specifically one person not only gave us a bit of a monetary donation through our PayPal link, she actually also created, and I had to write it down because I forget what it's called, a new YouTube cover photo. So if you've ever been like specifically to our YouTube channel, our cover photo always used to be like the infinity sign, and it said you and me. Well, she added to that you and me, so the infinity sign, you and me, and then she added twinfinity. So feel free to go check it out, just to, you know, give her some kudos for her work. I just thought it was very sweet, very kind. So I just wanted to publicly thank that person for her kindness, and all of you who have been donating.
The kindness, the creativity.
Totally.
And I even get a charge out of people's comments. Sometimes people throw in comments that are in addition to what we've said, some of their experiences. And sometimes people ask questions, and other times people just thank us for what we've done. I love all the comments.
Yes.
I like the people bits. I'm a little bit of a people person.
Yes, you are. And that's why he gets to read the questions, because he's the people person.
And that's why I get to try to interpret the questions as I read them.
Yes, we get a lot of questions from people from places all around the world. So a lot of different languages, a lot of different translations. So if Rob stumbles on words, it's only because he's trying to understand, you know, as the person has translated,
or as various translators have translated not very well.
Yeah, like computer translators don't always, you know, English is not an easy language. Let's be honest.
There's lots of difficult languages, and the thought that a computer could actually translate from one difficult language to another into something at least halfway understandable, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
It really makes our world so much smaller, and I really enjoy that. It allows information to flow so much better.
Yeah. So on that
first question?
Yeah.
Okay. On this piece of paper it says, start here. Thank you for your research.
Well, normally I try and put like as many questions on one piece of paper as I think we'll get through in a video, but we didn't get through them all last time. So we're starting at the bottom of the list from last time.
Continuing on with the list that we stopped with last time, I gave away my power to my twin. How many times have we heard that one?
And how many times have we all done that?
Very, very common.
Yes.
I sent all my love in chasing him for 3 years, and I didn't keep any self-love. Now he is in a relationship and gonna be a dad. What can I do now? I will have all my focus on myself, but I can't stop thinking about him. I don't think I can get to a union because he will have a child. I would love to get an answer from you. Love and light. Well, when things are not headed towards union, you always have yourself. And I've said it a few times before, and I'll say it a few times again. And even with more emphasis, the longer I have been involved with twin flames or any form of these relationships that seem to be divinely guided, the more I've learned that union is one objective, and self-growth and satisfaction is a very different but related direction that actually requires more work than getting to union. Union, when it comes along, tends to be more thrown in your lap, and then your level of preparation for it comes into play. But people that focus all the time on just getting to union without doing a lot of the inner work, the peripheral work, tend to end up having to catch up on the peripheral work. So if union doesn't really seem to be that close, there's lots of the inner work, the healing work, that you can do in the meantime. Don't forget to enjoy life along the way.
Exactly.
Instead of always thinking about your twin, don't be afraid to go for hikes in the park and observe other people, other events. Enjoy watching the trees as they go through their season. Our trees just lost our leaves. You can tell what time of year that is. So,
which many people have heard this, but fall is a wonderful time because the trees teach us how easy it is to let go, and how many twins need to learn to let go and surrender. So there you go.
so in a very roundabout way, that's my advice. If you're going to keep thinking of your twin, I wouldn't worry about that. That's actually very natural. And while you're thinking about your twin, oftentimes that's spilling into 5D and translating into attention that your twin is going to be getting in 5D, even if they're trying not to communicate with you in 3D. So thinking of them is not a bad thing. I suppose on a three-dimensional level, obsessing about them could be a little bit blocking towards life goals. But yeah, thinking about them and having them in a positive light in your life, even though they can't be with you at this time, sure, don't be afraid of that. I spent many years thinking positively of Angie, remembering memories. I guess that's why you get memories, is by remembering them.
Remembering memories.
But at the same time, not really thinking about the bad stuff and staying focused on the good times. And it all translated around to being much easier to get back into union when you remembered that there was good bits to begin with. So stay focused on the good, and don't be afraid to be positive, even though you're up against a situation where there could be years of potential separation. You just never know when your twin will change the direction of their lives and reopen the doorway.
Now, did you need me at all? See, I can't just sit here and play with my earrings and admire my pretty hearts, which are over here. It's all backwards.
See, I'm going to look over at her again now and say, hi, it's your turn.
Don't worry, I have things to say, but you just covered it all. So I was like, well, you don't need me. But I will address some things. Okay, so this person's saying I gave away my power to my twin. First of all, congratulate yourself that you saw that you've recognized that, because you can't change what you don't recognize. And the fact is, we've all done it. I don't think there's one single person, whether even they're a twin flame or not, who hasn't at some point in their life given away their power, whether it's to a parent, a boss, a relationship, a friend. It doesn't matter who it is. It's the fact that we recognize what we've done and then we can change it. So honor yourself and go, okay, well, I did this, but now that I've done it, I know what it feels like to do that, so I know maybe how to not do it anymore. So that's okay.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is there a better word than power? Power it's a good catchphrase for many things, but I find power to be a very ego word.
Oh, that's interesting.
I've often said that at times when I've been distracted in life, especially by other people, I've given away myself, my own core.
That's the word I was going to use, my core.
I stop exercising so that I have more time to give. I stop eating right so that I can go out for suppers more with somebody. And all of a sudden, the things that I would normally believe in when I'm on my own become cast away, even though that those things that usually you develop when you're on your own tend to be very much closer to your core needs, your core desires, your core abilities. But then you give away yourself, your selfness, your soul. You set that all aside to chase, to chase somebody else. And it all that usually accomplishes is a lack of inner balance. You take your inner balance,
for sure,
you throw it out of
for
whack,
sure.
And then you wonder why the other person doesn't see very much balance. It's because you've just finished putting it on pause.
Pause?
And I say pause. Oh, yeah. I suppose you could also get a pet. I don't know where that comes in.
By the way, our pet is not here tonight, so for those of you that love cookie and always are happy when she's in a video. Sorry, no video with the dog tonight. I get a mommy break. Yay.
Okay.
Okay. So now he's in a relationship and going to be a dad.
What can I do now?
Yes. So
refine yourself to start with.
Exactly.
And then progress from there.
Yes. So all the things that you gave away to be connected to him, start doing those for yourself. Find connection with yourself. Find things that bring you joy, even if it is pretty little heart earrings. Can you bring the paper back, please?
Actually, it's a hard copy, not a paperback.
You're right.
Haha.
So the thing I wanted to address the most is the part of, because now he's with somebody else and he's going to be a dad, I don't think that we will get to union because he has a child. So here's the thing. Most of the time when union looks the most unlikely is a great time because it allows us to finally let go, surrender, release all of that. Because when we're holding on so much to something, we're holding on so much that it can't come to fruition. So when we let it go, we give it the opportunity to flourish and grow and come back in its own time, in its own way. So it's not that union has no hope now, because just because he's a dad, just because he's with somebody else, it doesn't mean, I mean, look at the divorce rate in our society, or even if he's not married, but even for other people, if their twin is married. I know some people are like, my twin just married somebody else, that means we're never going to get together. Necessarily. We've both been divorced from other people. Like, we've both been in long-term relationships that weren't even marriages. So just because somebody is with somebody else or has a child with somebody else, it doesn't mean their whole life is written off and they can never be with you. It just means not now, which is great because that gives you the opportunity to find you, to give your love to you, to heal you. So when you're asking, what do I do now? Be with you. Find out who you are. Find out what brings you joy. Find out what makes you tick. Find out what makes you sad. And that way, when you come into union, whenever that happens to be in divine timing, you will have such a good knowledge of who you are that you'll be able to communicate that with your twin. That was one of the biggest gifts I had in our, what was our separation? 17
years.
As I was able to now be able to say to Rob, okay, this is what I need, this is what I can manage, this is when I get oversensitive, and this is what happens when I get oversensitive. I knew myself so well. I was able to communicate all of those things to him, which made our relationship so much easier coming back together. There was no guessing anymore of, oh, well, geez, did I stomp on a trigger there for her? Did I affect her? Did I hurt her? No, he doesn't have to be responsible for any of that because I know myself well enough to communicate that. So use this time to know yourself and heal yourself.
I'm going to throw a little bit of an extra bit in here. This is a tangent that almost takes a little bit of a reach to get to.
Oh boy.
Yeah, here I go.
How long have you already been on this question?
It's a
lot of questions.
It's a lot of question, and it's really just right up the middle of twin flameism and a lot of the struggles. I was just going to say,
it's a lot. It addresses a lot of people's same concerns.
It's a core question. It's one of those questions.
Question. That's a good word.
It's one of those questions that if you had to write the top 20 questions to answer to try to cover as many things as possible, this would be one of them.
Yep.
And the part that I'm thinking about is the holding on. When you're holding on to a relationship, and let's say I don't think I can get to union because he has a child. One of the main reasons for doing some letting go is the thought that if you're hanging on to something from an energetic level, the energy can't move around. Now, if energy is going to influence and grow and breathe and learn from its own environment, energy must be free to move. So if you feel that you must hang on to something as close as you possibly can so that it doesn't get too far away, you may also be restricting its ability to grow and learn on its own. And energy that can't move also can't flow back and forth between twins as well as it could.
So brilliant.
So this is why when somebody is obviously not in a direction that's headed towards union, and yet union's the final goal, sometimes letting that energy that is holding you apart, letting it work its way through and find its new balances and homes, sometimes will allow it to actually grow back and reach back, because it's not trying to get away anymore. It's free to do what it needs to do,
Yes.
not what you hope it will do.
And flow where it needs to flow.
And flow where it needs to flow.
That was very good explanation.
Thank you.
Wow. See, he doesn't need me.
Someone's feeling unneeded tonight. Actually, someone still wants to go play with their earrings.
Right. I just want to play.
Okay. Are we done with that one?
I think so. I think we've answered it all multiple ways, multiple times.
And I just can't help but saying this almost every time. I'm now going on to a question that I haven't even started to read yet. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I do this? Okay.
It's okay. This one's more for me anyway.
Oh, well, then,
then
I'll just,
off the hook.
I'll just spew out some words and let her deal with it.
Yeah.
We want to ask a question about your union video where Angie said... Vadio. Wow. Where Angie said for 6 months before you got together in your union video, you had meditated daily and just blasted Rob with energy. Can we do that? Is it not manipulation? Can I say something right off the bat?
Yeah. And I got to talk about divine timing because this is so cool.
Manipulation to me is very three-dimensional. When you're communicating in the 5D, it is, I don't want to say that it goes through divine filters, but it's a much more divine, honest, guided, it's a better spiritual plane to be on than in the 3D. So when people talk about manipulation or manipulation techniques, that to me is very three-dimensional. When you're communicating in the 5D, unless you have the talent to exactly say what you want to say, like translate it from 3D to 5D, most of the time in 5D, it's already in a very, very loving, caring, very well-developed, mature state. So communicating in 5D, I would not want to call it manipulation. Yeah, you might be blasting somebody with energy, but it's likely to be an energy that intuitively they're very more likely to be able to receive, use, or filter as required. So, no, it's not manipulation from my point of view. Now it's your turn.
Okay, what I like is you use two really important and powerful words: guided and intuitive. That was cool. Now, what I wanted to share, what's so cool about divine timing is at the end of our last question and answer video, this was the question I wanted to put in. I wanted to kind of jump the line. So as we've said, we always just take your questions in the order we've received them, copy them into a Word document, print it out, and we answer them in the same order. But I wanted to jump the order because this person had asked this question a while ago, and I knew they were kind of waiting. Not that you aren't all waiting for an answer. Yeah. But I really wanted to answer this question last video, and Rob's like, no, that one's going to be a big answer, and we don't have time, and we should just wait till next video. I was like, okay, fine. So what's so cool about divine timing is I was just having a conversation with somebody today about this very topic. And she was guided a while ago to do this very same thing, which was send energy, send love to her twin flame. And what she's been hearing is as above, so below. So in other words, you're connected above. Now she's being guided to bring that energy, that 5D energy, down into 3D by energetically joining them and bringing union in, calling it in. And so she's been doing that, and then she stopped doing that. And then the other day she decided, okay, I'm gonna go back. I gotta start doing this again. And it just wouldn't flow. She couldn't get her energy to go there because she wasn't guided to at that point. So that is the trick, and that's why I loved Rob's word. It is about very much about being guided. So when I was doing it, I was highly guided to do it. I was being very instructed as to not only what to do, but how to do, when to communicate with Rob telepathically, when to leave him alone, when to I would sit and like imagine him standing here, me standing here, and connect our chakras one by one. So I was guided when to do that, and if I tried to do it when I wasn't guided to, I couldn't, because then it was my ego trying to force it. So that is the trick: is knowing when it's your soul guiding you and when it's your ego trying to make it happen. And when you're doing it out of higher guidance, it it's magic. I mean, it's literally magic happens. The way you're connected and divinely orchestrated how things are meant to come together. And what I was always told is don't fight it. So, in other words, when you're guided to do it, do it. But don't force it. So, in other words, when you're not guided to do it, don't do it. So, honor the 5D, honor the soul when it's being told to do something, but also don't force it when you're in 3D and you think, okay, I just want union with my twin flame. That's not the energy to come from. That's not the way to go about doing this.
In my own words, when you talk about forcing it versus just letting it happen, as an example, if I had to put different words on it, when you're trying to communicate in 5D, the two words that I use to say that if you're to describe a 5D zone that are probably the most universal are either when you're in a meditative state where you're at peace and your outward energy is low, or what I would also call a prayer state if somebody needed to convert it back into something that's got a religious base to it. So if you're in a meditative state or in a prayer state, chances are you're also not in the ego state or the three-dimensional state of communication. So as long as you're in those two modes, chances are you're in a zone that will work.
Yeah.
Too bad I never really felt that getting blasted with energy.
Well, you felt it on some level because you would respond. Hang on. You're still in the paper.
Oh.
I was just trying to read my notes because I saw I wrote notes on this a long time ago, and I saw the words 1998. So I wrote here, I was also guided to do this back in 1998, and boy was I ever. We met in 1997. So when we broke up, I was guided to send him love, so much so it still annoys me sometimes. I say this is, I thought it was my angels, spirit, whatever you want to call it.
Guides.
Yes, all of it. They would literally wake me up in the middle of the night and say, send him love, send him love, send him love. It was like I couldn't send the man enough love. It was crazy intense. And then it went away. Then, like, years later, like, I didn't have to send him love anymore until we were coming back into union.
Then I think I got blasted again.
Well, only because I was told to.
All
right.
Okay. Oh, does this one wrap around to the other side?
Mm-hmm.
Aha!
Sorry.
I'm going to get to a certain word and all of a sudden stop dead and flip a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Okay. I texted my twin flame around 4 months ago that I wanted to speak with him about something that I've been... Pause. I have fun with these.
Despite enjoying not having the dog here, I must be missing her. Because when you say pause, I think of pause. Dog pause. Funny. Okay.
Now I should actually say those last few words again. I've wanted to speak with him about something that I've been feeling for many years and never had spoken about. He replied that it wasn't a good time for him but that he was open to having the conversation at some point. Then it's been crickets for the past 4 months until I broke the silence for a birthday wish to him. It's always been me breaking the silence. Don't worry about that. And it resulted in no conversation after that. I always get disappointed even though I expect it. I want to be honoring in the space, but I have a very hard time knowing if it's ever appropriate to ask if he's ready when I fear that it may never be dealt with if I leave the ball in his court. So far, there's been no initiation on his part. The energy is so intense between us that it's hard to want to deal with it, even for me. But I feel that it's the time in my life where I need to get this figured out. So is there a way that you two could advise me how to handle this delicate matter? Much love.
So before you answer that, I'd like for you to go back where she's saying it's always me who's breaking the silence, and you said don't worry about it. As the masculine energy, as the one that more ties in with the person in the twin flame connection that is the one that's cricketing, why do you say don't worry about being the one to break the silence as the feminine energy? Explain that.
Well, from what I read in this question, the feminine is being very patient, only contacting once in a while. And when the masculine is struggling with either figuring out how to be ready for a conversation, or even struggling with if they ever really truly want to be part of a conversation, or maybe they're afraid of the contents of a conversation, it sometimes takes the masculine a long time to get comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think it's better to wait until the masculine is ready for the conversation, even if it takes him a couple of years to keep throwing some crickets out there. And in the meanwhile, to start to prepare to get ready for a conversation. A lot of times, the masculine, as I found, preconceives a conversation. So maybe it would be a little bit worthwhile, if it hasn't been done already, if you're going to be asking the masculine if they're ready for a conversation, to maybe just drop a couple of very gentle hints about what the conversation will be about, so that the masculine has a chance to either break down some preconceptions or to dwell on what the conversation has been hinted to be about, so that they have more of a chance to be prepared and maybe even set up their own boundaries, so that they feel that they've got a level of safety based upon real preconceptions, not just imagined preconceptions. So yeah, to slowly build up towards a conversation is better than saying, I'm going to go crazy if I don't have this conversation right now, which automatically turns the conversation into being all about you as opposed to being about both of you. Puts the masculine on a defensive or on a let's get it over with, and therefore they won't be that open. You gotta wait till the masculine at least seems to be somewhat open, because a conversation with even just a closed mind, let alone a closed soul, tends not to create much growth. So it's best to wait till things are ready.
Yeah. And going back to the last question, I was going to tie in how you know when things are ready is when you get those nudges, when you get little maybe things from your own soul or from your own guidance or from higher guidance, saying it's time, or whatever you get, you'll know. You'll know when it's your ego going, oh my god, I want to talk about this, or when it's your soul going, okay, now it's time. So if you can just put it on the back burner, like surrender it a little bit, and just know that when the right time is, it will happen. You don't have to force it. Again, it goes back to that, don't fight it, but don't force it. So when you're given the nudge, okay, now it's time, you might go, oh God, as much as I wanted to have this conversation, maybe I don't. And then you'll resist it. But instead of doing that, just flow with it. Just go with it when it's time, when you feel that either gentle nudge or strong push.
Just to say it again, I really like the tone of the way that this question was written. It really seems to be from a point of view of someone that understands that just pouncing on someone, I'm going to go into a cat conversation here, just pouncing on someone with a question, hi, you have no choice for having a conversation, as opposed to letting it develop into the correct time is so much better.
Yeah.
Sometimes these conversations are like petting a scared cat. You know, you're just lucky to touch them, and then after a while, when the cat gets a level of trust, it'll actually let you stroke them all the way down their back. I wouldn't even expect the conversation when it comes along to be the complete conversation the very first time. It might just be just a very shallow version of the conversation that you feel needs to happen. And then when you get to a point where you feel like you've made progress, but you don't see a lot of fear, that might be the time to just let go of the main topics of the conversation and have it be a very positive conversation, as opposed to pushing it into being a conversation where someone ends up getting in the defensive. Because again, that's closed any forward activity and also possibly soured them to future conversations.
Yeah.
So even though it takes patience to get to a conversation, sometimes a conversation that you would hope to be one conversation might need to be spread out over two or three to get to the depth that needs to be achieved. Because sometimes the depth that you want to get to is too much for one conversation.
Yeah.
So be gentle and be careful, and remember the tone that this question was asked with as being something that at least I recognize as being right up in near perfection.
Good guidance. You're just on it tonight. Wow.
I've been waiting a long time to do a question and answer video. I've been
the one struggling for the last ever. It's been rough.
And I've been the one that's been gently psyching into it, just like what I talked about. And when I get notification that it's time to do a question and answer video, sometimes I go, oh, really? Do you mean tonight? Do you mean this week? Or is it still this month? What do I need to prepare for? And then if we, to use one of our favorite terms, if we lollygag long enough and it takes 2 or 3 weeks to get there, by the time the night comes, I'm actually excited and ready.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the other night when I said, okay, we should do our question and answer tonight. And then my energy hasn't been exactly stable, and I think I finally figured out why. And I might do a video on this, I might not, I don't know. But I won't even go into that right now. But the point is, I can be fine, and then drop off, and I feel like I've just fallen off a cliff. And I fell off the cliff after having a nice, stable, emotional day, an energy day. And Rob's like, how did you put it? You kind of gave me a hug, and you're like,
do you think that you're still in the zone for doing a video? I think was something.
No, but you even said, I want to say this without teeth and claws coming out at me.
Yeah, I could just tell it was just not the right night to do a video.
And I was like, no, you're right, I can't do a video tonight.
And the topic, run away. Different night.
Yeah.
So yeah, even just doing videos, that you can tell we both love doing them.
Yeah, we do.
But we've got it's got to be right. And just like coming to a conclusion when to do a video, same as when to ask for a conversation, it's the timing's got to be right, or at least some level of right.
Yeah.
Okay. Energy is so intense. You know, the energy is so intense. I've said that term many times. You really know that you've got confirmation of the journey you're on when the energy stays with the journey. If the energy bounces in and out of the journey and in and out of the journey, it's very possible that you're not in the sweet zone of where the journey is, and that the energy is actually going to where the journey is, and it's you not following the energy.
Mm.
So when the energy is so intense and it stays intense, if you're aligned with your energy on almost any level, that's a good place to be. So when the energy is intense, yeah, be happy.
Most people are like, no, it's too intense.
Yeah.
Welcome to the twin flame journey.
It's not like the stereo in your car sometimes. You just can't turn it down. Sometimes it's going to be full blast. Sometimes the neighbors are going to notice. No, not really. Next question?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is this a Rob question?
No.
Okay, good.
It's for both. I know, you saw your name.
I saw my name.
Because I saw your name too. And
I'm going, whoa. Was I supposed to prepare?
No.
Oh, would you talk about how you and Rob differentiated if you two were in an attachment or real love? I don't know if I know a difference. I'm going to have to think about this. How can you tell? Ditto, same problem. Because this connection can initially be so obsessive. True. And then you cannot imagine ever not being with or talking to this person. It's not, unlike anything I have known, and this person is not available. Been talking 3 years. Would love to hear how you, both of you now, oh, sorry, let me try that again. Would love to hear both of how you share you knew it was more than just an attachment. Not talking about toxic attachment. Thank you both so much. You wrote a note here. Don't need, but want.
Yes. That's how I knew, because I knew I could live on my own. I had 17 years without him. I knew I could manage my life without him, but it was I wanted to be with him. I wanted to have the connection. I wanted to experience whatever I thought union was, but I didn't need it. It wasn't like my life depended on having it. That's how I knew it was. What did they call it? Attachment versus real love? Yeah. The other reason I knew it was real love is because, and again, this is something we've been talking about doing a video on. I won't get into that now, actually. But real love is not just the romance. It's not just when things are good, you're happy. It's learning to be together in the struggles, in the challenges, in the chaos. Again, not to go into too much of what's been going on with me, but I've just been, as I've mentioned before, struggling greatly with sleep. And I think I've really solved the core issue. So I have not been easy to deal with. When you are awake from 2 in the morning or 3 in the morning and you don't get any more sleep, you're not a happy person. Rob has been a saint this last, well, we could say a year and a half, really.
Yeah.
Because it's been like stomach issues and sleep issues, and it's been a lot of stuff. That's true love. It's not about, oh, we're in union and everything's perfect and happy and wonderful. It's not always how it goes. But even before you're in union, can you have serious conversations? Can you have difficult conversations? Can you work through things, or do you just get triggered and slam the door and go, well, the hell with you, and then, you're like never talking to them again? So to me, real love is when you work through the challenging parts, when you can still be together or deal with each other, work through things with each other when things are hard, when things aren't all blissful and fun and easy and romantic. That's my definition of real love and true love. And you have gifted me that, and I wanted to publicly thank you for that. I wanted to do that at the beginning, but I forgot to add it to my notes. So I'm glad it came up now.
Came through now.
Because I want people to know what a wonderful person not only you are, but what really union is like. It's not all bliss. So many people think, oh, when I get to union, everything's going to be perfect. No. Sorry. I mean, yes, it's good. I'm not saying it's not good, but you still got life to deal with. You got challenges. There's health issues. There's family issues. There's work issues sometimes. There's just issues still.
This question, now that I've read it and I've had a chance to glance down, I think you folks may have noticed that, I've been rereading it, and this is where a question like this works really well in a group setting. For example, when you go to a workshop, is because we've got the word attachment or real love, but yet I think the word attachment could be something different if you wanted to write something that was opposite of real love, like a infatuation versus real love, as an example of an opposite. But the real love and the attachment, very much in my mind, work in synergy. They work together.
Oh, interesting.
For example, when times aren't, let's say, that loving, it's the attachment that does the work. It's much like
I see where you're going.
It's like couplers on a railway car. I'm sorry if some people don't get this analogy. As a railway person,
Rob's a railway person.
If you've ever been beside a set of railway tracks and there's a train moving back and forth, you'll sometimes hear the railway cars slamming against each other. Bang, 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 as it's going forward. And then they slam on the brakes and everything expands again. But that attachment is giving back and forth, but it's holding everything rock solid. Even though the train isn't moving nice and smoothly in one direction, it's going back and forth, crash, 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 one direction, and then expanding and then crashing back together as they're moving cars around or coupling or uncoupling in other sections of the train. So oftentimes it's the strength of the attachment that allows the love its flexibility to ebb and flow through good times and bad times. So I really quite enjoy the attachment because it is always there. And if you don't want the attachment and you decide to uncouple it, that's where uncoupling happens. So as long as you believe in the attachment, it's not going to go away. And the times of real love, of good love, just strengthen the desire for the attachment. So the attachment is the hard point. And it's the love that adds the frosting to it all.
Wow. Rob's analogies, always brilliant.
It's either an airplane or a train. Or something to do with food.
Well, yeah, that's always in your realm.
The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I think I'm going to have a cookie after this. And that's not a dog. That's a real oatmeal one.
I had a bite of a cookie before we started.
See, she got her snack beforehand. I'm holding out for the end.
I save my cookies and I put them in the freezer and I just take a bite. And that's why I've been working on a cookie for like a couple weeks now.
Also in this question was the word obsessive. Because this connection can initially be so obsessive.
Can it ever?
Obsession, it goes back to another previous question. Obsession is what happens when you allow it to be unhealthy. You can be really focused on getting something done. And if you do it very healthily, nobody would ever call it an obsession. They would just call it an excellent effort. It's when you're in a situation of harm. When you're not sleeping properly, you're not eating properly, you're not exercising properly, you're skipping work just to have a phone call. When you're just hurting yourself all over the place.
And abandoning yourself.
Abandoning yourself. And doing nothing else other than damaging yourself for a singular cause. That's what I would call obsessive. So when you start to reach those borderline obsessive bits, when it's no longer healthy, that's when it's time to uncouple or detach from it for a little while and regain your composure and maybe come back at it from a more healthy point of view and angle. Maybe with some of those famous things called boundaries.
Yes. Yeah, you might as well hang on to that for the next question. How's our time at? So we should probably end at this last question here.
Okay. Okay. So me and my twin flame met when we were young, and I didn't know why I was feeling so much for someone that I had just met. It was all so weird, and I couldn't keep my eyes. Should that be off of?
Off of her.
I wouldn't keep my eyes off of her, and I would go home after school still thinking about her nonstop. I was so confused because I had no connection with a girl in my life that was like that. I started to asking myself, asking my sexuality that I have much far to talk to her.
Sorry,
no words.
I should have edited that for you.
Ooh, that one didn't translate.
Yeah, the translation ones I try to help
fail.
Pre-edit.
Okay.
This is what lack of sleep does. You just don't edit. You just wing it.
I think what I'm stuck in the middle of here is about a 150-word long sentence. Oh, this is basically saying that so far, when talking to her, no words would come out of my mouth, and everything about her was so triggered, and it was too much to process, because all of my life I've been told that being with a girl is bad, and having so much desire for her in me that I thought that something was wrong with me. She would go after me, throwing shades at me. What does that mean?
Like ignoring or being mean or...
And I would just ignore her. And now it has been 5 years, and I have still much desire in me to be with her and to talk to her, but now she is in a relationship. Here we go again. In a relationship, and she just acts like she doesn't see me. But I keep seeing her in my dreams. And I do this constantly and get stressed because it just brings more pain in me every time. So what this person wants to ask is, what do we need to learn before we can be together? Or are the things that we felt for each other just there to make us in a state of growth?
Well done. Sorry I didn't do a better job of editing that. Or do a job.
And I thought that the warmth was because of the fire behind me. Woo, that was stressful to read.
No, the warmth is the fire too. It is pretty warm. I keep moving because I'm all like sticky on my legs.
She's all clammy. That is a lot of question. But it is still a question of being in a connection, recognizing a connection, having every feeling that is possible for that person, and yet this person has had shades thrown at them. Shades meaning darkness, shut down, I think.
Shades is like being mean and...
Yeah. Just maybe a little bit of that push-pull.
Yeah.
Run, chase, almost.
Yeah. So, what do we need to learn?
What do we need
before we can be together? Well, that's a tough one to answer because there's usually lots has to learn before twin flames can be together. And sometimes it's not even about learning as it is about healing and clearing. So clearing abandonment issues, clearing rejection issues, clearing all the wounds that we have come into this life with. And usually those patterns and wounds start from childhood.
After 5 years, I would say in people that are in their 30s and 40s, after 5 years, it's very definitely time to have the conversation that somebody was very nicely trying to get into before in a previous question. Okay? It's time to just have a straight up, head on conversation and then move on. When you're very young, it's very difficult to communicate because you don't have years and years and years of experience in communication. And this question sounds like it's coming from someone who is still quite young. Now, of course, in my rickety old age, I think quite young is anything under about 23.
You're not rickety. You're not old.
Okay, I'm not rickety. I went for about a 4.5 mile run today. Not being that rickety.
No.
But,
can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes.
It's rude. But look at how pretty my sleeve is. It's so shiny. Sorry. I just had to.
If you check out one of our story videos, Angie was talking away and I munched down on a granola bar on
you
screen.
did. So now it's my turn.
It's all fair.
I
was hungry.
It's all like iridescent-y. I don't know if it shows up.
Oh, it looks like it's sparkling.
Isn't it pretty? Okay, sorry. Carry on.
You know, after 4 months, to use the previous question, it's still allowing a person time to get comfortable. After 5 years, I think the person that is being chased needs to know why it's important to you. So it's time to have maybe a quick but very direct conversation on why you are still being in their life and possibly shake them up so that maybe they're going to show a little bit more respect. Boy, that's a dangerous word to use because it's really hard to tell the context from this question. But to show, maybe give them a chance to understand that it really is important to you that you have stronger lines of communication, maybe be in union, and that it's not just a puppy love or an infatuation. When a person hears those words, if they have the growth and maturity about them, they would usually try to show more respect, even if the respect is a more polite way of rejection because they can't follow in what's being requested of them. Then at least something has been communicated. But to be just stuck with just an aching heart and maybe having the other person not understand what you're going through, you're not doing yourself a service, and you're also not giving them a chance to possibly be honest in a way that is at least capable of supplying some clarity in a mature way. I'm really hung up about the 5 years in this question. All those words, and I go back to the 5 years.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you keep going back to that. Because I know a lot of people are like, well, it's been 7 years, it's been however many years. And it's like, you know what? Sometimes you got to let go of the years and just let the journey be what the journey is. I know every year people mark it and say, well, it's been this long. And I know it's got to be harder when you actually know your twin flames. That's where our journey was so much easier in a sense because we didn't know we were twin flames. So I wasn't counting the years going, it's been 17 years. I let go. I didn't know there was ever hope of us coming back together. So we didn't luckily have that annual marker of it's been however many years. But it's got to be hard when you do know.
It's far more justifiable to let go for years when there's been one very strong, straightforward, honest communication. And you know why there is some silence. maybe the communication overloaded someone and it's going to take them a few weeks, months, years to process it all. But to 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 be hanging on and not having played all your cards face up on the table, and then
there's our 1 hour notification.
There we are. Nice save.
Thanks.
But to be hanging on and not having clearly communicated at least at one point, that means that you're owning the stress, and that's more than what a person should be doing. It's like not having completely tried and been honest on both sides. So that's I guess where I'm hung up on. If everything's been communicated once and it's been 5 years, then you're in the separation phase from a very honest and open point of view. If you're just hurting all by yourself in silence without having ever communicated, I would almost call that a lesson to be used, or part of your soul contract as to why you're on this planet, is to learn how to not suffer. But in the meanwhile, you're learning what suffering feels like so that you can try to step beyond it at a later time, maybe when you've had a chance to understand that it doesn't serve you very well. Sorry if that was a little too blunt.
I don't think that was blunt.
The last two words were us growth. Again, if you don't have us growth, you have you growth. You got to hope that the other person is growing so that when communication comes back, then there's room for some us growth. You can't grow two people when only one is either capable or if only one wants to grow.
Okay, and that's where I was going to be like,
except in
wait
5D.
a second. Well, because as twin flames, you're both growing, whether you know it or not, whether you see it or not. I mean, how many years did we have, like, you know, a little bit of a catch up, and I'd be like, wow, he hasn't gone very far in life in terms of, like, emotional growth or spiritual growth. But that was a terrible thing to judge because, yes, he was. I just wasn't seeing it. So just because we don't think our twin is growing, it doesn't mean they're not. They're just growing in a very maybe different way or healing in a different way than we are. So I think it's to just remember to keep the focus on yourself and know that if you're growing, they're growing. Because as we've shared in other videos, you're kind of like a ladder. You're always working together. When one person grows, the other person catches up, and then they might step ahead, and then you pull up. And then it's, you know, you're always working in tandem, whether it looks like that or not in 3D.
This is really hard to do on a flat screen, but I was watching Angie's demonstration of growth, and I thought it needed another dimension to it. Sometimes there's growth. Okay, let me get my hand right because I'm going to need a lot of screen for this. And then there's growth, and then the other person grows here and up, while the person grows here. So you're not necessarily growing on the same plane. And then all of a sudden, your growth comes back together onto the same plane and then grows like that. So growth doesn't have to be on the same direction all the time. It's just good if it's growth.
Right.
Sometime in the future, that the growth that somebody's doing, even if it doesn't look like it's on the same level or on the same direction, still may be appropriate.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's because the person who has done the growth in that direction, the other one grows back to them. And it doesn't matter who the leader is in this case.
Yeah, because there really is no leader, because you're always interchanging. And
two people who are running up ladders that are side by side are still both going up ladders. They don't have to be on the same ladder.
Okay. Is that the...
It took me a while to get there.
The last parting wisdom of the night?
Yeah, I think so.
Think so?
I really like that. The ladders. That's a good place to stop.
I'm glad you think so. I'm having fun bugging you.
Oh, I'm being bugged.
Yes, you are.
Didn't even notice.
Okay, good.
Having too much fun.
All right, so we'll leave. We have 2 more questions on the page, but we'll leave those for the next question answer because there's many more. It's not like this is our last page. We're a little behind on question answers.
We've been saying that for about
I
half a
know.
dozen Q&As now.
I know.
The only
It's
way
just
we're gonna
the way it is.
the only way we're gonna catch up is to just do more Q&As. And after the summer that I've had, which has been a better summer than I thought I could have ever had, after the summer that I've had, I think I could cocoon in front of a computer a little more often. But we're definitely going to wait till we're both ready because sometimes I'm not ready either. I sometimes let a work day get to me and I'm not ready to do a video.
Yeah.
This is
computer issues.
This is the neat thing about being a twin flame, 5D connected and 3D connected, and I sometimes enjoy my balances, is because I don't feel stressed if I'm buried in a 3D day. And I don't feel like I'm ignoring the world if I'm having a very spiritual day. I enjoy my balances week to week, month to month, day to day, even hour to hour, knowing that it's okay if I'm not feeling quite as balanced as what I would hope for. A spiritual journey doesn't mean that everything needs to always be roses and everything's peace and everything's pure love. It's okay to be part of the environment that you're in. I find that people that don't want to embrace the sometimes harsh realities of the 3D world, even though they have chosen to come to a 3D world for the purpose of learning in a 3D environment, that they're denying themselves the opportunity to experience the balances that can happen between 5D and 3D. Even if the balance happens to spring a little bit into 4D and be in that point where you don't really notice which dimension it's truly in because it's just such a blend. So I'm perfectly okay saying that sometimes I'm not in the zone to be in a state of either guidance or in 5-dimensionality. And other times I'm feeling so connected with spirit that I want nothing to do with checking messages on a cell phone or anything else like that I've got for text. Sometimes I'll just ignore them all evening because I'm in such a peaceful zone elsewhere in my level of existence that I'll miss checking messages. So I just wanted to pass that on, that it's not that we do and don't like doing videos. We always like doing videos when we're doing videos. It's just that it's always better to wait until it's going to be a really good video.
And we have to wait till we're both in the zone.
And because there's 2 of us, we both need to be somewhere near the zone, at least within sight of it, before we do it. So I've been very focused on 3-dimensional things this summer. I think that this winter, while I'm probably hiding away from winter because I'm going to be missing my summer a little bit, I can see where I'm going to be possibly in front of the computer screen a little more often. I've really missed, in some cases I've really missed the weekly bit, but it would be too much. I'm not very good with the technology and I need too much help from Angie and I don't want to overload her. I need to be careful, or else I just go crazy.
Once she sleeps consistently, she can be helpful again.
First 3 sleeps in a row, I'm doing a video on my own.
Well, I almost had 3 in a row good ones.
2 in a row. Nope. Back down to 0.
Yeah, and I failed again.
Can't do it.
Yeah. I have one last thing and then we'll actually say goodbye. I wrote notes for my beginning and there was one other note that I forgot to add that I wanted to address in the beginning. So now that I remember, I'm going to address it in the end. I can't even remember what video it was on, but a while ago, probably a month and a half, maybe even 2 months ago now, somebody had asked about my Reiki lady that I have talked about in our story videos, the person I was going to when Rob and I were coming into union. And I never got back to this person because I never got an answer from my Reiki lady, and I do have an answer now, though. but I can't find this person's comment in all of our videos. So if you would like to, if you're watching this and you know who you are, if you would like to send us a private message, whether on Facebook or if you want to just even do it on the under this video, just send a comment wherever you want to do it. I will get back to you. I'm sorry that I have not. It's been a little rough. I'll get my head back in the game soon.
It's all okay. It's all okay. Just like waves coming in and out of the shore, sometimes the wave's far up the shore and sometimes it's far away. It comes back.
Yes, I'm coming back. Hopefully for good. So on that note, we're finally going to say good night or good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for sticking through our crazy video of the night. And we'll hopefully be back sooner than a month to do another one. But if we're not, we're sorry ahead of time.
We're still out here.
Yes,
we're still
we are.
out here.
Yes, we are.
All right.
All right, we love you guys. We'll
certainly
connect again, and please feel free to add your comments below. We'll always respond to them, or at least acknowledge them.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.